Howdy strangers, and welcome back to the Nightly Show with Taco. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about, in pretty good length, the 25v25 game mode. Now, I want to go ahead and point out that 25v25 was added in May of 2023, and we're almost 2 months away since its addition to BRM5, which I honestly can't believe it's almost already been a year, because I can remember just the beta testing of Heart Valley just like yesterday. So that's terrifying, but that's the point of the video. We're just gonna go ahead and just jump right into the things that 25v25 does well, and then we'll move on to the pros of 25v25. So the pros of 25v25: the map is very pretty. The cons of 25v25, starting off with the objective. There's not really an incentive to play objective. I find that most people, and including myself, of course, most people tend to play 25v25 like a team deathmatch kind of game mode, where basically you just kind of spawn in and you just kind of shoot whatever. You know, you just run around the map shooting everything. Doesn't really matter, you know. There doesn't ever really feel like there's a team fight in 25v25. It just feels like everyone's a one-man army. And really the only times you're going to be interacting with your teammates is literally just to spawn on them through, you know, the spawning system. You can just spawn on your teammates and you just run off and do your own thing. Besides that, I think the only other time where there's like a teammate interaction that I've experienced personally is at the beginning of a round when everyone races to get like a Humvee and start driving around the map, and then other people get in your vehicle with you to tag along. But there's not really like a squad system. You know, you can spawn in your teammates, but you don't really have like teammates you stick with. You know, I feel like it's personally more just like a death match, and it's like, okay, well, my teammate's here, so I'll just spawn on it so I'm closer to the action and don't have to run or walk or drive so far to get to the action again. But the objective is a really, really big problem in 25v25, I find. Mostly because I have no clue if I'm capturing the objective. I have no clue if I'm contesting or if I'm just not in range of capturing the objective. There is no signal to be said that's like, oh, hey, you're capturing the objective. And then, you know, like, besides literally just getting like plus 100 battle points for whenever you do capture an objective, there's nothing on the ground that signifies, okay, I need to stand in this radius so I know I'm capturing the objective. And there's no, like, I guess, progress bar to see like, oh, hey, I've captured the objective, or I'm capturing it, or there's enemies around me that is contesting the point and I can't capture it. There's no signal that, you know, like, oh, hey, like I mentioned, there's no signal to really tell if I'm capturing the objective, rather than just randomly getting plus 100, you know, battle points or whatever they call it. So I think that's something that does need to be changed. I don't know if there's something that the dev should put on the ground where it's like, oh, hey, here's a yellow paint outline of where the objective is. You need to be in this radius to be capturing the point, or if they do like a progress bar or some kind of UI change. I don't know what they need to do, but I have no clue at all if I'm ever capturing the objective in 25v25. There's also not really a good incentive for the objective to be played. You do get plus 100 battle points, which can be used to, you know, get grenades, vehicles, RPGs, most literally, like, I think only people care about is the RPG, to be honest with you. So, you get plus 100 battle points for getting an RPG, so that's a pretty sweet deal, but all things considered, it's kind of hard to capture the objective because, of course, the objective is mostly in the middle of a big POI. So there's not a lot of cover there. I think Silas Divide, basically where the gas station is, there's not really much cover. Because I usually, whenever I try to capture the B point on Silas Divide, I go right in the middle of the gas station. Like, I don't go in the gas station itself. I'm at where the pumps are. Because I know that's like, okay, I'm confirmed, you know, secure the objective by standing there. I think Heart Valley does it better with the B point, because it's like there's the movie theater, gun shop, other just like random rooms as well. There's like a little bit more cover. There's what is it called? Verticality to the place, and you can still capture the point there. So there's not really a good incentive for the objective to be even played to begin with, and a majority of the time it's usually a sweep. I find often that in my games that whenever I look up at the scoreboard at the end of a game, it's usually like, okay, well, yellow or tan team, whatever it's called, yellow, green, not yellow, tan team has like 18 points, and then green team's won with like 100. Like, it's usually just like a sweep. I very rarely have those close games where it's like, okay, we're going neck and neck at points. Like, no, it's usually just a sweep by like one team, because one team captures all the points, and then no one bothers to recapture it or even fight for the objective, because everyone just funnels to the B point, which is the center of the map, and that's where everyone really just wants to play for action. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. Most people don't care about the objective. They kind of just use it to either get, actually get the points, but most people just play for, action. So a majority of people will just go to the B point right at the beginning of the game, because that's where the most people are going to be, and it's just a really good way to start jump starting, dopamine, basically, because that's where everyone is. That's where everyone's going to be spawning after they die, because their teammates are also there, and it just kind of feeds into just playing, B point, because that's just where everyone is. That's where the fun is. If you go to A or C on either map, you're very rarely going to find someone, and if you do find someone, it's probably just some random sniper camping in a bush. Like, it's very hard to find people, and I mean, unless you're just strictly playing the objective just to get the plus 100 battle points, there's no reason to play objective, because very rarely will you have people like actually pushing it to try to recapture it over and over, and it's just like a constant tug of war. It's captured once, and then everyone ignores it and just shoots each other. That's it. There's also the big problem with 25v25 being that there's not really a good reason to play the game mode anyways. Besides just your own enjoyment of the game mode, of course, you don't really get that much cash, and you don't really get that much experience from it. I think personally, from my experience, just playing PvP, like regular 5v5 and 2v2, is a better way to get money and experience, rather than just playing 25v25. Because 25v25 is so inconsistent. You will have times where you're just completely mowing through people, where people just keep spawning, and you're just there capitalizing on it all, and then you're running around the map for like 7 minutes trying to find where one person is, and you can't find anyone. And then of course, you fire one rocket launcher, and next thing you know, you got an 8-man multi, and then all the spawns for the enemy team are jacked up because they're spawning at either their main spawn, or they're just some random sniper once again just hiding in a bush, and everyone spawns on him. So it's very, very hard to find a consistent gameplay 25v25 as well. I think a big problem with it personally is that the map is too large. I would personally prefer if the game mode was switched to something like King of the Hill, just cutting off A and C point on both maps and condensing it down just to just to B point. And I really do hate to say that, because oftentimes on the maps, the A and C point are a lot more interesting to play at, or just the point itself is a lot more interesting than the B point. Like when I think of Heart Valley, A point is like the quarry, and then C point is is basically like a construction site, and then the B point is just like a movie theater, a couple buildings, stuff like that. Personally, I think the quarry's a lot of cooler place because of all the how do I say, just the verticality of it I think is really cool, has a lot of potential. And then the construction site's also really cool because the houses are a lot more spaced out rather than just being side by side. So it's a lot more like a suburb kind of fighting area rather than just like, here's buildings. It's not like being in just a city. So I find that on Heart Valley, personally, the, A point and C point are a lot more interesting than B point itself. But no one ever goes to A and C point, so it's just like, well, I'm just going to go to B point because that's where the action is. Also, I kind of hate to say that once again, I need to cut down the map, because the POIs on Heart Valley are really, really cool, such as the lookout map being added onto that map. That's really, really cool. And then you have on the polar opposite side of the map, you've got like this big penthouse area. And so you've basically got these you got the large cabin and you got the large penthouse basically overlooking the map, which is really, really cool. And I do like that. So if Heart Valley had to be cut down, I would basically cut it down to where cabin and lookout cabin and the penthouse are still like, looking over B point, but it's basically just B point. It's just like this big roundabout almost. It's like this big circle where it's just B point, the lookout cabin, penthouse, and then you've got the team spawns. Like that's all the map. Just shrink off, A and C site, which really sucks because once again, A and C site are personally, I like them better than B point. South Divide's kind of the opposite. I think the gas station area is a lot better of a location rather than just the runway at A point, or was it C point? It doesn't matter. One of the side points, basically. The runway is a terrible location. There's too much open cover. There's not much I can really say about that. And the Boomtown is cool, but no one ever goes there. And honestly, it's kind of the same thing with B Point on Heart Valley, where it's just all these buildings like just literally like right next to each other, and it's just not that interesting in my opinion. As cool as it is, it's just not that very. It's not very good, not very interesting. So I think a big problem with 25v25 as a game mode in itself is there's not really an incentive to even play it to begin with. Not ignoring the objective and stuff like that, you just don't get that much cash, you don't get that much experience, and honestly, I think what they should do is something like they did with 2v2 and 5v5. If you lose a game in 2v2, you get plus 100 cash bonus just for playing the round, or just for playing the game, and for 5v5, you get plus 200. Or, for winning, plus 200 for winning, plus 100 cash for losing. I think that's something we should do for 25v25 as well, to give an incentive for people to play it. I would give plus 500 cash for winning, and then plus 250 cash for losing. So once again, you've got another incentive to play the objective, which is going to be a lot better. So then you solve the problem where nobody plays objective. You also got people playing it just to get more money at the end of the game. There's more people. There's, you get battle points. A lot of reasons to play it. And I know it might seem kind of crazy to do, like, okay, plus 500. Like, that's half an AK-74 right there. That's half the cash you need for an AK-74 in BRM5. But you also got to understand that 25v25 games, the time limit is like 15 minutes, maybe 20, if I remember correctly. I don't remember exactly. I never played attention to the clock because most of the time, like I said, it's just a team sweep where one team captures all the points and then they just run and they just get all the points and game over and then restarts. So I think plus 500 is really good because the games last a lot longer than 5v5 and 2v2. Because on 5v5s and 2v2s, the game usually lasts about like 5 minutes at most. And that's assuming like each round is drawn out and you play like 5 rounds. Because 1 minute and 30 seconds is 1 round in BRM5 PvP. And that's like assuming you just let the clock run. So, 5 rounds at most, 5 times 1 minute and 30 seconds. Not going to do the math there. Maybe I think that comes out to like 7 minutes maybe. Something like that. So it's a lot shorter. And that's assuming, once again, you are playing at you're wasting as much time as possible. So you can still get, like, 2 5v5 games if you just run the clock as long as possible before you get one 25v25 game on average done. So I think giving it that 500 cash bonus for winning, 250 cash bonus for losing would be a lot better. And also, like I've brought it before, 25v25 does not feel like a team fight often. I feel like I'm just running around as a one-man army doing team deathmatch. I don't really know what you could do too much about that, if I'm being honest, because I am someone that doesn't really like to play with my team to begin with. But I do think having a better squad system would be a good start, because right now I just use my squad literally just to get spawn closer to the action, and that's it. I just spawn closer to the action and then run off and do my own thing. That's it. I don't keep with my teammates. I don't, get vehicles and try to drive them closer to the point. Don't try to help out my teammates. I'm just going. I don't heal my teammates. I only heal myself. I play selfish. I won't even lie to you. I do play selfish when I play 25-25 because I am the one that is basically, as far as I can see, I am the one that is making an effort into the fight. Like, I am the one getting kills. That's what I notice. Occasionally, you see a rocket launcher fly over your head, and you'll get, like, an 8-man multi on your team. You're like, hey, that guy's actually doing something. That's nice. But that's about it. That's the only time I ever really notice my teammates doing something in 25v25. There's also a really, really, really big problem with 25v25. The map is really, really large, as I've already pointed out, and it causes a lot of walking, even with as many vehicles as there are in the game. I think one thing that they should do is, because whenever you spawn at the beginning of a round, there's already like 4 Humvees spawned around the map, or 4x4 vehicles, 4-wheelers, whatever. Basically, there's already vehicles spawned in at the beginning of each round. Most people take it, drive to the middle point, get out, and then they just sit there for literally the rest of the game, and there's this massive pile up of like 5 Humvees all at B point. Like, people know what I'm talking about here. You all have seen it before. I think one thing they should do is kind of do like a vehicle spawner at each of the spawns. So that way, if you want to, you can just spawn at your main spawn, grab a Humvee, maybe do a little bit of a cash hinder. Not as a thing of, like, battle points, but actual player cash. Like, make it so you have to spend, like, 50 cash to spawn in a Humvee or something like that, and then you can take it wherever you want. And just, you don't have to walk the entire map, because oftentimes you are walking a lot. And it's very, very annoying because the map is so dang large. And especially when you can't find where enemies are, you're just walking everywhere on the map. You can't find anyone, you're just walking everywhere. And really, your best option is just to reset and then spawn on a teammate. Just to, like, I often just reset and just spawn on a teammate if I want to get somewhere. Because, like, I am not going to walk the entire map. It's too long to do so. Another big problem with 25v25 also kind of plays into the map issue being too large, but you also just, many weapons are just unusable in 25v25. Like, a majority of the weapons, I don't know all the statistics for it and whatever like that, but whenever I look at the kill feed for 25v25, like, all the kills are just DMRs or sniper rifles. Like, everyone just plays from a distance. There's no reason to play objective, so if they just sit back and pick people off, then that's good for them. But it also causes the problem where I have no clue where I'm being shot at because I just get cross-mapped out of nowhere from some random dude hiding in a bush with a Heck 8. Like, I have no clue where I'm being hit from. I don't know what you do with that. I don't know if you make, like, a little marker where it's like, oh, hey, you've been shot in this direction. Or, you know, because really the only way to figure out where you're being shot from is to either just be lucky and just manage to see them, or just have their tracers fly at you and not dink you directly, because then you can just use the tracers to kind of figure out where they are. But most of the time you will just get cross-mapped out of nowhere from a position you didn't even know it existed, and you're dead, and you can't really do anything about it. You're just dead. You just got one tap. Sucks to suck, basically. Nothing you can do about it. There's also the massive issue of not having any ammo. Oh my god, this is such a big problem. Please, 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 if there's one takeaway for 25v25, it's to add some kind of ammo. Like some kind of way to get ammo, because besides just, you know, resetting or dying intentionally. Because there are so many times where I will go off on like a 20-man killing streak because enemies are so far spaced out, or just living long enough, or just being lucky, and I'm out of ammo in my primary. And it's like, oh, well, how can I get more ammo? Literally just die. That is the only way you can get ammo in 25v25 is just by dying. That is the only way you can get ammo. So I don't know if it's a thing of like you need to be able to spend battle points to have, you know, get an ammo box, or have ammo box. Personally, if it was me, I would have an ammo box dedicated to each team spawn. So you can walk over and you can, you know, if you have a helicopter or if you have a vehicle, then you can drive back or fly back to your spawn, grab ammo, and then just fly back or drive back to wherever you were. And then you've got ammo back and you don't need a reset. At the same time, I probably would just reset it still at that point. So I think a better thing to do would be to put an ammo box on each objective point, because that'll give it more of an incentive of people to play actually the objective, because there's ammo there as well. But you've also got the problem where people are basically just like your entire team is just going to sit there at the point because they just got infinite supplies. They're winning the game. But I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to choose because you can have basically where the entire enemy team will just sit at one point, have infinite supplies, and have no reason to ever leave. But at the same time, you've also got action there. You've got a lot of people. And then basically you just take one RPG shot and you've killed the entire team in one shot. So I do think putting ammo boxes on the map would be a really, 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 really good thing to do. Or just have, like, you know, some kind of supply drop you can call in. Or, I don't know, man. Just put ammo on the map. That's all I ask. Because really, it does suck that, you know, I have to reset every single time. I just want more ammo. Because, like, that's why that also kind of falls into the reason why so many people use snipers and DMRs in the game, is because it's a lot easier to conserve your ammo. You know? If you run an assault rifle and there's someone, like, way off in the distance, well, then you have to shoot, like, an entire magazine to get one kill. Or I guess you could tap fire, but that's for nerds, you know? And at that point, if I'm going to tap fire, why would I not just use a DMR? It's like, that's why everyone's used snipers and DMRs, because it's the only thing that is effective at pretty much all distances. It has good ammo conservation, and there's just no reason to use literally like any other gun. Assault rifles are kind of pushing that limit, because assault rifles are definitely where, like, if you're playing the objective and stuff like that, that's where you're going to want your assault rifles. But at a distance, you're going to need like one magazine just to kill one person, and that's terrible. So everyone's used snipers and DMRs. Shotguns. I've seen a couple of shotguns be used before, just because of how kind of goofy shotguns are in the game. But you also have just like no reserve ammo with shotguns, so once again, not a good idea to use. Some machine guns are completely unusable. Carbines are completely unusable. Most assault rifles are completely unusable unless they're just an absolute laser beam. I guess some carbines are also usable. Just once again, it's just a majority of them are just unusable. Just so many guns are just super, super, super ineffective because they're just not a good they're not for 25v25. You basically need a weapon that you can use at all range and will be reliable at all ranges, which is why DMRs are used so often, because they can do well at distance. They can actually hold their own in CQC. Snipers can do both as well, but are a little bit more impractical in CQC, of course, and assault rifles can also do the thing, but the backwards of the sniper problem, where they're not as good at distance, but they're really good in CQC. So a lot of guns are just unusable. You can't use them, which once again relates into the map being too dang large. It's really tricky to figure it out, because I think my biggest problem with 25v25 is that the map is just so large, it's hard to find people. So I truthfully think changing both the maps, and I really do hate to say this because both the maps have put a lot of love and care into, and they are really cool, but they are too large. And I think changing the game mode rather than having like 3 control points, but instead switching it to King of the Hill, I think that would be better. Where you basically just have the B point, both teams push the B point, and then you can do flanks, stuff like that. But it's just one point where everyone just tries to hold it and capture it, and that'll funnel into, you know, having ammo on the King of the Hill, and then people who have it have the benefit of having the ammo and having cover, and then people have to push into that, and I don't know. There's a lot of problem with 25v25, and I don't think everything that I'm going to say is going to be the best solution for it, but I do think some of these things would really help with it. There's also kind of just miscellaneous problems from here on out. Those were basically my major points from it. And there's also the problem where there's no spawn protection at all for 25v25. And I won't even lie to you. And most of the times when I play 25v25, I spawn in, beginning of a round, spawn in, grab a Humvee, drive to the enemy team spawn, and just spawn camp them. I have gotten so many free kills for it. It is crazy. Like, that is the best way to rack up battle points right at the beginning of a round. Because, hey, you're like 2 minutes into a game, and you've already got like 600 points, and I can already buy 2 RPGs right off the beginning of the round. Like, that is such a big team advantage right off the bat. So, no spawn protection at all. I literally just watch people spawn in and just dink them right away. Like, they can't do anything about it. There's also a problem with helicopters. They're not really that worth buying, I feel, just because of how exposed you are getting in and out of vehicles. So if I'm, driving like a Humvee and stuff like that, and I drive it to B point, and then I crash basically if I just get right to B point there's enemies like right in front of me. Okay, time to hop out the vehicle. I'm gonna start gunning them down. Well, I'm exiting the vehicle, and I'm just a sitting duck, and I'm just gonna get absolutely laid into. It's the same thing with helicopters, where it's like, if I try to fly this, set this down somewhere near close to enemies, and get out, then I'm gonna get shot while getting out. Or, if I try to run away, get in my helicopter and fly off again, then I'm going to get shot trying to get back in. So it's not really worth buying ever. And that's why it's like Humvees just kind of, they all get used up right at the beginning of a round, crash right into B site, and they just sit there for the rest of the game. Because you're very exposed to being in them. You can get shot while driving them. You can just, they're just not, vehicles are not good. They are good because it helps with the problem of having to walk everywhere. But you're also a sitting duck whenever you're using them. So vehicles are good and bad, and then walking everywhere is very, very boring. But you also have a higher chance of survivability, because if someone starts shooting at you, you can shoot at them right away. You don't have to wait. So a lot of problems with vehicles and walking everywhere on the map. And it really does cause a lot of boredom in 25v25, because if you can't find anyone, then you're just walking everywhere. And it just sucks. Like, you can't do anything. Another big problem I have with helicopters is that there's nothing really to counter them whenever they do show up. If you have an RPG, you could hit them with an RPG. And I'm not entirely sure if, shooting them actually does damage to them. But hey, why would I shoot the helicopters when I have no way of getting more ammo? I am just going to waste all of my ammo if I shoot at the helicopters. So there's nothing I can do to counter a helicopter if it does show up, besides just getting a lucky shot and shooting out the pilot, or shooting out a gunner if they have one. So helicopters can't do anything to counter them, and they're not really that useful because it's like, why would I not just use a Humvee at that point? Um, yeah, I don't know what to say. That's why I feel like pretty much everyone just buys RPGs with all their battle points, and I mean, can you blame them? They're really, really good. They're really, really fun. Um, they don't take that much skill to use either. And oftentimes when you get an RPG, if you just like have a general idea of where the enemy team is, you fire one RPG and you get like 8 kills, you've already made up enough points to the point where like you have just paid for the RPG you just got. It's like 250 at most to get an RPG, which is 8 kills. And then you fire an RPG, and you get, if you get an RPG, spawn in with an RPG, you use the RPG, and you get 8 kills with said RPG, then you paid for the RPG you just used, and you can just, basically you just keep buying them over and over, as long as you get 8 kills with it. So, you know, RPGs kind of feed into each other. You can go back to back to back, which is pretty fun, not gonna lie. But they don't take any skill, and you do just often just get one shot. That's fun. I think RPG is so fun that I don't really care if it's super overpowered or just like how massive its explosion radius is, because it's fun to use, and I don't really mind getting one shot by an RPG out of nowhere, because then it's like, oh well, no big deal, just a minor setback, just respawn right back in. And that's I think that's a good thing that 25v25 does, because it's really the only game mode that does that. It was where, hey, if you die, just spawn back in and just keep going like nothing ever happened. You're not really punished for dying in 25v25, which contributes big time into the whole kind of deathmatch feeling instead for 25v25. It does not feel like, hey, there's 3 points on the map, we need to all go to these points, split up evenly, and defend them. It's just like, hey, there's enemies on the map, go find them, beat them up, and then get a rocket launcher. So you're really just rewarded for your behavior of just running around the map and killing everyone. There's also weather, and weather's a big problem in 25v25 actually, because the lighting and stuff like that, oh my god, I can't see anything. Fog, okay, the weather makes the map really, really, really pretty, and I've already said that's the one thing 25v25 does perfectly. It is beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, but if there is fog on the map and it's nighttime, first of all, you can't see anything, and then once you put down night vision, you just still can't see anything. Like, weather is just so bad for 25v25. It is super cool. It is really, really awesome. But I can't see anything, and that is the most annoying thing as a player. Because, once again, as I've already said, it's very annoying just to be one shot out of nowhere by, like, a sniper. RPGs, I give a little bit of lenience to, because that takes a lot of points to get, and is actually, like, a build-up to it. But anyone can just grab a sniper, sit in a bush halfway across the map, and then just dink me. Like, that's not really... I guess it does take kind of skill, but most of the time it does not really take that much skill, especially if you're using a DMR, because then you have so many follow-up shots that I'm just going to die, like, pretty quickly. But yeah, just getting cross-mapped is not that much fun with a sniper or DMR. I don't mind with RPGs, like I've already said, because RPGs are just they're just goofy, they're just stupid, okay? It's kind of fun, I'm not going to lie, it is fun to randomly explode sometimes whenever I'm playing the game. It's hilarious to me. But yeah, weather makes it really hard to see. Pretty much any variation of it, it's impossible to see. Nighttime is really just where the issue comes in. If it's daytime and it's raining, not that big of a deal. If it's daytime and there's fog on the ground, not that big of a deal. But if it's nighttime and these weather events happen, it is impossible to see anything and is really, really, really bad. Daytime, I also personally feel like it needs to last longer, and nighttime needs to be shorter. Because I personally don't like having a green overlay 24/7 whenever I'm playing 25v25, and I don't want nods to be a mandatory option for 25v25. I feel like that kind of sucks, because if you're doing 25v25, if you're playing it, you need night vision, or else you're just gonna have a terrible time. Like, there's just nothing else for it. So honestly, if it was me, I would just make daytime like permanent. Like, I would not even have nighttime, but I understand it makes more sense to have, day and night cycle. So honestly, just make daytime longer and make nighttime shorter, or just make nighttime shorter. That's all I care about. Also, personally, I would prefer if the game actually lasted longer. That way, more people can get enough points. Like, people who just aren't as good as the game, I'm just gonna say it. People who just aren't as good as the game, they can build up enough points over the time to the point where like everyone has got an RPG in one game, and you don't just need to be like really really good to get them. Because then I thrive in chaos when I play 25v25. Like that is where I have the most fun. Is when things just make absolutely no sense. Like things are just exploding all around me. There are teammates and enemies scattered evenly across the entire map. Like everywhere I look, there's an enemy. Like it's just a massive battlefield, basically. That is where 25v25 is so much fun because there's just everything is happening all at once, and it genuinely feels like a massive battlefield rather than just being like, oh hey, there's a clump of like 10 enemies right in front of me. I killed them all, and now I can't find anyone for 7 minutes. So I think personally games do need to last longer. I think if that happens, more RPGs will be used, more vehicles will be used, more grenades will be used, more whatever. Like there's more things going on. And I think that'd be pretty fun. I'm just saying, I think that'd be really, really awesome. I don't know if I think personally I would increase the timer to like 20 minutes if it's not already at that. And then increasing the point limit to 200 instead of 100. So basically just double the length of the games. That's how I would prefer it. If you're not going to do that, that's okay. Whatever, no big deal. Change it to 150 maybe instead of 200 actually, now that I think about it. I think just increasing the lifespan of a game a little bit more would be awesome. Just because I think one of my favorite things with RPGs in 25v25 is because when you hit most buildings that you hit an RPG with will actually like explode, and there's like windows broken, and then like the walls are opened up and stuff like that. There's something that changes whenever you hit a building with an RPG, and I think that's super cool. So having games go on for longer and just slowly watching all the buildings on the map just slowly deteriorate, I think would be really really cool. That's just me though. I've talked for very very long. It's been over 30 minutes now, so I'm gonna wrap it up with my final point here, which is squad spawning. Squad spawning is really weird because it doesn't really seem to... I don't know how it works. I'm going to assume that you can't spawn on teammates whenever you get hit recently. Like, whenever you've been shot recently, there's a certain timer that has to tick down until, you can have a teammate spawn on you again. It does not seem to be based off of vicinity because there have been multiple times where I've spawned on a teammate and there's an enemy, like, right in front of me. So I know it's not based off of vicinity of enemies. It just seems to be seeing like, okay, when was the last time you took damage? So yeah, I mean, squad spawn's weird. I also think it'd be nice to have a feature where you can disable it, where teammates can't spawn on you. Because I really hate it whenever like I'm going for a flank on 25-25, and next thing I know, I've got 4 teammates walking around with me, and then just shooting randomly and calling all of the attention onto me now. Like, I don't want teammates spawning on me, Like, like I said, I play selfishly. I want to be going off and doing my own thing. I don't need teammates with me 24/7 helping me out. Like, I can handle it. So I think having something like that would be good. And then maybe doing something like the Battlefield system, where they have, like, their squads. Like, you basically got 4-man squads, but you're also, like, an entire team as well. So basically, instead of having it where you can spawn on, like, literally, like, any given teammate on the, map, you basically just have your mini squad that you have of 4 people. And I think that'd be a good thing because then you can also have friends in your squad where you can pick who's in your squad and who's not in your squad, and then your squad leader, and basically just have like, okay, so if I want to play with my friends, then it's like, oh, well, I can see they're here, here, and here, so I'll spawn on so-and-so and hang out with so-and-so, and we'll push with so-and-so, and I don't know. Squad spawn is really, really weird because there's often times where I'll just spawn in front of enemies and they'll spawn, or enemies will spawn in front of me, and it's just like, well, what am I gonna do? So squad spawn's weird. It does need to be tweaked a little bit. I'm not really sure what you could do with that. Honestly, I think just giving us the opportunity to just have a squad, like choose our own squads basically, would be really cool. And also having where people can't spawn on you. I think that's the more important features where I can change whether or not I want to have teammates spawn on me or not. That's me, though. I think that'd be a great feature. Also, one final thing. I'm not sure if this was ever fixed since Skirmish has come out, but I can't queue up with teammates and then join a 25v25 server and then join me in that server. Like, it's basically a roulette of me, joining and then leaving a Skirmish server over and over again until I get into the server my friend is actually in. I don't know if they ever fixed that. I knew that was a big problem back in the day, If they fixed it, good job. If not, please fix. Anyways, my voice hurts from talking for like 35 minutes now. So I'm just going to end the video here. Thank you all for watching. Have a good night, day, evening, whatever.